I'm going to provide you the short little presentation on how to do a custom email setup in Systeme.io. I'll make it very brief. It's not hard, but then you don't need any of the other mail programs such as SendGrid or anything else. Namecheap and everybody else will help you with support, whatever you need. So this is how to have your system reply email the same. So an example, let's say you went to Systeme.io and you set up your domain name, and there's a lot of other places online that teach you how to do that. Systeme.io does too. So you go over to Namecheap or someplace and set up your domain. So let's use an example here. Let's say I had a domain name called wallyrabbit.com and you wanted to use the email support or Dave or Bob at wallyrabbit.com, and if you put that email into the Systeme.io system, that is the email it says from on the email that people receive. So if your subscribers turn around and hit reply on it and it goes back to support at wallyrabbit.com, it's not going to go anywhere. It's a dead end because Systeme.io doesn't allow emails to come back. They're not an email service provider. They just use your system to send it out, but nothing comes back out. So what I'm going to do is show you a little trick here. How you can get around that for just a few dollars, and like I say, it's a lot cheaper than all the other ones. I'm going to give you a quick high-level overview. This won't scare you, but it'll make sense then after you get done. So when you go buy a domain at, it's called the domain manager level. That's just the name. You just get the name, and within that manager you can go over here and set up zone records, A names, all this good stuff, MX records, and you can set it up, and basically in here is where you turn around and you forward this over here to Systeme.io. That's the method. So basically your domain, when people log on to it, get forwarded through CNAME over to Systeme.io and they see your website. However, the MX records, or what is known as mail records in the internet world, don't go with it. And so with Systeme.io you don't have that capability. But on the other hand, if you were to go take a domain and host it, like on Namecheap or GoDaddy for like, you know, $20 a year, you also get the capability for zone records, A name, and you get email. So you can actually take and set up a domain and not even have it go anywhere and get email. So Bob at wallyrabbit.com would work and come in here. So what my method is to say, hey, let's go buy a cheap hosting account, put Wally Rabbit on it. It'll give you all the email capabilities like every other account, but the name, when people type in your name, it actually through CNAME, just like up here, heads over to Systeme.io. It's a cool little trick. And then when people hit reply, you have it. So here are the steps. You can come back and do a screenshot or go back, but I'm going to go through these steps. You're going to purchase the domain name and hosting. I use Namecheap because it's really simple. And these instructions are for Namecheap. It's the same as GoDaddy. And you're going to add a domain to your hosting account. So you're going to go buy a hosting account with Namecheap and add a domain name. You add that in your cPanel. You're going to create a name in your cPanel. At this point, you're done with the fact that you have an email for that domain, wallyrabbit.com. But then what we're going to do is go get the records for the domain and the email over at Systeme.io, just like you normally do, and you're going to plug them in, and you're going to install the information on the hosting side. Remember back up here I said up on this side, but you're going to install it down on this side. Same method, except for the email and everything, you will have one available because Systeme.io only uses your email for sending out. This way when people hit reply, they'll come directly to you. I think it's a lot better than having an email that is different than what you're sending out. Nothing's worse than having a Wally Rabbit be the email comes from, and then you send it to bugsbunny.com. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And so here's what we're going to do. The first thing is, here's an example of a domain I have. I don't use this much anymore, so I'm okay with showing it. Home Income Magazine. Normally in Systeme.io, they would say go to Advanced Setup and set up the cPanel and all those little things. There's only like 3 of them set up. That's what they normally do. I didn't do that. Home Income Magazine is hosted on Domain Cheap. So right down here it says Namecheap Hosting. So you buy the name and buy the hosting. And if you buy the hosting account at the same time on the domain, you get a super cheap price. It's like $20 for the whole year, including the domain name. So once you get it with domain Namecheap, come into this is Domain Name Manager. This part is, that's that upper level. You'll see this and make sure you have this turned on. Then the next step is, then once you're in there in the Domain Name Manager, somewhere over here, I think you hit Hosting List, I believe, it will give you a little button and it'll take you to what they call cPanel. You are now in the control panel for the hosting side of the system. Never ever you have to go back to the name side. It's done. We don't care. And in this hosting side, and they have all the instructions on Namecheap, you got to tell the hosting to connect your domain to the name you bought. Even though it's at Namecheap, hosting is different than domain names, and you have to connect them together. So you'll go into your hosting account and you say, oh, a domain's here. And then you're going to say, hey, and you're going to click on that button and it's going to say create a new domain. Now you're not creating a new domain name. You're creating a domain in your hosting to connect it with, you know, people on your other systems. Then you're going to come in. So now you got your hosting account. Then you're going to come in and hit your email accounts. You're going to come in here to your email account and you're going to say create an email. That's very simple. Then you're going to come over here to forwarder, and you don't have to do this. I do this because I don't like to have to check 50 emails, and you could forward this to whatever email account you want. So I create a name, roger@wallyrabbit.com. I come over forward and say, hey, send that over to Home Income Magazine or whatever.com. This way I don't have to, you know, check multiple email amounts. It's an option, don't have to do it. But now you're ready for emails. And if you want to test it, start an email, send one to your brand new domain, and go check it and see if you got it. And when you're in email accounts, they have the ability to click on a button that says look at web emails or web server emails. You can do that too. That's the fastest way to make sure it works. So now we have all that set up. Over in Systeme.io, you're going to go in there and you're going to click on custom domains, because now you want your domain, and I'm going to show it to you. Other people show up online too. You're just going to click on custom domain. You're going to click on show instructions, and it's going to pop up this, and those are the CNAME records that it wants you to put inside your hosting account in Namecheap. Whether ever how you do it, they want you to put this in, and when people go to Wally Rabbit, it'll go to wherever this point is right here. So now how to go put those in, you come over here back to your cPanel. Like I said, this is no different than the regular setup, but it's called DNS Zone Editor instead of that first page I had. You're going to come over here and you're going to actually put those things in right here. You see, I actually put them in. I just copied them in right here. All this does is, on the internet, people search for a domain name, they hit here, and then here, it's CloudFront stuff here that they gave you, CNAME. CNAME says, hey, send them over to Systeme.io. That's all it is. It's just a redirect, a new pointer. So you do that first. Now your domain name in Systeme.io has to get verified, and it might take 24 hours. And in the Systeme.io, it'll say ready to use. Standard Systeme.io setup for any domain, ready to use, might take 24 hours to say ready to use. Once it's ready to use, Systeme.io says, oh, we know you have that domain. We're going to give you an option to go do emails. So what they do is you come over here to System Settings and you push 1 here. And you put in whatever email you want here. And this email is the one that I want to be from my main domain, wallyrabbit.com. I want that email because when people reply, I want them to come to this email. I don't want to send from Wally Rabbit and have somebody reply to Bugs Bunny. Right here, they give you, it's kind of hidden up here, this little button that says number 2 to give you the settings to put inside your system setup, and it's very similar to the other one, so but it's different. You click on the domain name setup. Now you got to put in your domain name, wallyrabbit.com or whatever. Now if it's not verified in Systeme.io, if it hasn't come through or been set up, this you'll click on this and it'll go, no, don't like you. So you got to do this first. And so you got to have it verified. And then it gives you these 3 records for sending out email. Because this is the sending out email. You're already done. You can receive emails all day long. This is the standard setup for sending out emails from Systeme.io. It has to hook into your system. But I want to show you how to do it on a hosting account. So then you come back, or the domain name zone editor, and we're going to put in the records for email. Up here you have the other records that you saw, the previous domain. I didn't want to confuse you, so the previous domains entered are up here. Did not want to confuse you, so enter in this 3 records. And so now you're going to have the couple records for the domain name, couple records for the email. And I didn't put anything in here, a picture of how this flows, but bottom line, Systeme.io, when people hit your domain, goes to Systeme.io. Systeme.io sends your email, they use this, but your receiving email works because we've already set it up. So one way to test this is you make sure you have your email in here after everything's sent up, and go create a newsletter and just hit send. And when the newsletter comes to you, you should see your name, in my case, support@wallyrabbit.com, and then you hit reply, and that's what we're trying to solve. You hit reply, say reply to support@wallyrabbit.com, and that email comes back to you, and it's in your email program. So with that, that's it. I don't think I have anything else. This is my little business here, sidehustle.trends. If you want to get a free course on what some of the best digital marketing method out there is, mostly affiliate marketing, it's great. It's a 90-minute course. It's just fantastic. You can go check that out. Thank you very much, and hopefully if you find this video, it has value for you.